It's day 9, and what a fine time to take action and declare MRICS as mine. Yeah! So what do assessors usually see as errors in submissions? Well, over the years, I've seen amazing submissions, some so well written that you're just thinking that they will pass. And when I catch up with a panel of assessors, they have given a referral. Why? Well, it's like an interview, a job interview, where your resume gives you the opportunity for the interview, but your performance is critical in it. And I have personally seen some submissions on the opposite end of the scale, where the assessors are thinking, who was that counselor? Who approved it? Because it's not written that great, but then they pass. What I'm getting at is assessors will review your submission holistically, and bad performance in one area can be balanced out in another. Having sat on numerous panels, part of the assessor training and running many briefing and refresher sessions, I have built up a great relationship with many who have shared the red flags with me that can really undo the amazing work that you put within your submission. Remember, the examples I'm using are simple examples, and your experience will be better. As we have 22 different professional pathways, I try to use terminology and references to simple the process for everyone to understand. So even though I'm using it as an example, you need to remember that you have to elevate your examples, elevate your knowledge, your understanding, your experience and advice to the highest possible level. As we're on your level 1s, essentially your day-to-day, which is your technical core optional competencies, these need to be on point. But some of those top red flags that can really undo your amazing work could be not explaining and a lack of knowledge and understanding displayed at level 1, where a candidate will say what they did, a course, a learning, but not really backing it up with a statement that helps to show they understood the element of the competency. So this is why it's very important that you do say you have the knowledge, and then a sentence or two about how it has impacted you, and your understanding is very important. As level 1 is not just about knowledge, but you understand that knowledge and have interpreted it in regards to your area of work and relevance, but more importantly, a strong, confident statement that doesn't leave the assessors wondering and guessing, to what I call leaving the door open. A simple example would be if you ask someone for directions and they said, somewhere up there, the chances are you are not confident in their answer, as you should be. But if someone said to you it's 200 meters up the road, and when you get to the corner, turn left and you will see a petrol station, and 2 doors down you'll see a shop with a yellow sign, you confidently use that information and you're not left guessing. And with your submission, you don't want the assessors guessing. As such, if I wrote and defined, I personally have the knowledge of how to fly planes. I've gained this knowledge of takeoff and landing procedures through watching various aircraft flight simulation videos. While the statement is defining how I've gained the knowledge, the statement isn't strong, not relevant in the aspect, and not a confident statement. While it may answer the question, it also opens the doors for assessors to ask further questions. Now, if I did say, I have the advanced knowledge of how to fly planes and have completed 2,500 hours of flight simulation at the Airbus Simulation through FCT Travel Academy for all taxi, takeoff, in-air, emergency and landing procedures, and further past the final examination, it does sound a lot better. We could even write it as, I have advanced knowledge of flying and passed the final examination through FCT Travel Academy. I've completed 2,500 flight hours on the Airbus X flight simulation to develop experience within taxi, takeoff, in-air, emergency and landing procedures. It's confident. It shows how that knowledge was gained and the understanding was formed to reference some of the terminology and work done. It answers the how, what I did, and reference as the type of plane, procedures, and further experience of knowledge formed. And no, I'm not a pilot and haven't done any flight training, but wanted to share something that made a little bit more sense. The first statement leaves too many unanswered questions, while the second statement is closed. Since in the first statement, I don't really provide much relevant knowledge, where assessors may ask questions about, what type of further training, reference from their own experience of, the specifics, where they might want to clarify and further you to explain on what and how. Such as the assessors may ask, in flight training, the Air X control on Boeing typically is used for what? And you answering, well, I'm not too sure, or I don't know about Boeing, doesn't give confidence to the assessors and may refer you on this question. Now, in both instances, the response would have been the same, that you don't know Boeing, but only since in the second statement it was defined knowledge and defined Airbus, I would have given confidence to the assessors in the written statement, so it would have been a pass. You have also defined the hours, reference of the type of development understanding, such as the taxi, landing, etc., and that you also pass. So this is why it's important that you lead with a strong statement and reference to your knowledge and back up with some terminology or show how it impacts the area of work. And think about the process. Don't say I have learnt all aircraft operating procedures. Say taxi, takeoff, in-air, landing, emergency, so close it off as much as possible and provide as much information as possible within the word limits. Don't keep your statements too basic where you could open the door to further questions. And another which can leave the door open, and I touched on it yesterday, is the various progression. If, for example, there are 3 standard forms of contract and you know of all 3 but primarily only use one, mention this. You may define in your level 1 that you have gained this knowledge and how it's formed, and that there are 3 other main contracts used in your area of work and in context of your role. But in your level 2 and level 3, define that you only use one and primarily use one to help keep the statements closed off. So I hope this gives you another element that you should keep in mind when writing your statements. Now, as a reminder, all this needs to be reviewed by your counselor and approved, so please seek their further advice on your writings, as everyone will have a different statement based on their own experiences. I want you to continue to map out your experience, creating a checklist of all the possible items you may reference and include. Always refer back to the overarching statement to make sure that your statement answers this, and get all of your level 1 completed, as tomorrow we will start level 2 and I want you to complete level 2 and level 3 this week. I asked a question yesterday, how is everyone going? So please let me know in the group. I'm Joshua, the APC guy, and I'll see everyone tomorrow.